Hello, I'm Grayson Ottaway. This is Marvelous Videos. Conan the Barbarian is a legendary character created by Robert E. Howards, and he was first introduced as a barbarian warrior in a story series published in Weird Tales magazines. Conan's stories initially took place in the Hyborian Age, a fictional era that served as the setting for various sword and sorcery tales. This character garnered a lot of attention from the audiences, and he soon became a mainstream hero in multiple comics, animated series, and even movies, wherein he embarked on dangerous adventures and fought mythical creatures, wizards, and supernatural beings. Today we'll explore Conan's legacy right from his origins to more recent adventures and tell you everything there is to know about this famous barbarian warrior. But before we get into our explanation, a very small request: if you like our content, please support this channel by subscribing. Small click for you, but for us, it means a great deal. Thank you so much. Let's go. Conan's backstory, explored from the movies. Conan the Barbarian became quite famous in popular culture, and his character has been adapted into various books, comics, and even movies. Arnold Schwarzenegger played the titular role in films such as Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer, which only increased this character's popularity. Conan the Barbarian was released in 1982 as a sword and sorcery genre film, and it was directed by John Milius. The movie was based on Robert E. Howard's descriptions of Conan and essentially narrated his backstory as he avenged his parents' death. The story begins with a young Conan in the land of Cimmeria, where his father teaches him how to forge a sword. Conan's father worked as a blacksmith, and he often told Conan about the significance of metal to the Cimmerians and the riddle of the steel. When Conan was a teenager, an evil entity named Thulsa Doom stormed the land of Cimmeria with his followers and massacred the entire population. Conan's parents were killed during this attack, and especially his mother was killed by the sword of Thulsa Doom. After killing the Cimmerians, Thulsa enslaved the young children and sent them to work at a mill known as the Wheel of Pain. Conan survived this attack and grew up to become a gladiator who fought in various fights and defeated many strong opponents. After serving his master for ages, Conan also sought education in the East and was finally freed to spend his life as he pleased. Conan embarked on many adventures and even discovered an ancient sword while exploring an ancient warrior's tomb. He continued his adventures while looking for some purpose, and he eventually met a witch who advised him to visit the city of Zamora. Conan also found a lifelong friend in Sabotai, a Hyrcanian thief and a skilled archer. Conan and Sabotai travel to Zamora and find Thulsa Doom so that he can avenge his parents, and they end up finding a new companion named Valeria along the way. The trio finds their way to the Tower of the Serpents, which was built in order to worship Thulsa Doom's cult. They raid the place, steal valuable jewels and the Eye of the Serpent from the tower, and even kill a giant serpent before proceeding on their journey. They manage to escape the tower without being caught, and Conan and Valeria end up getting physically intimate while celebrating their success. However, they soon get captured by the city guards, who take the trio to the king. King Osric tells them that his daughter, Princess Yasmina, has been captured by Doom's forces, and he asks them to bring his daughter to him in exchange for a reward. While Sabotai and Valeria don't wish to go on the journey, Conan is determined to teach Doom a lesson, and he heads to Doom's Temple of Set all alone. Doom had created a cult in the Mountain of Power, and Conan disguised himself as a priest to enter the temple. However, he gets captured by the priests and is tortured at the temple. Conan also ends facing Doom, who talks about the power of flesh and even hypnotizes a girl to jump to her death. He then declares that Conan will be crucified on the Tree of Woe, and the barbarian is almost killed when Sabotai and Valeria rescue him. Sabotai takes him to a wizard named Akedor, who summons magical spirits to heal Conan's injuries. However, Akedor mentions that his services come at a considerable price, and Valeria agrees to pay the price. While Conan recovers swiftly, Akedor's spirits try to capture him while his friends fight these spirits. Subotai and Valeria finally agree to help Conan rescue the young princess Yasmina, and they break into the Temple of Set. They witness the entire cult in a strange cannibalistic ritual and take this opportunity to find the princess and leave with her. While they fulfill their mission, Conan seems disappointed because he doesn't get a chance to fight Doom, who has transformed into a snake, to get away. Moreover, Doom throws a snake at Valeria and injures her, which results in her death. While Valeria dies in Conan's arms, she mentions how this must be the price she has promised to pay at Akidor's place. After cremating Valeria, Conan and Subotai prepare to finally fight against Doom. Conan also seeks the blessing of the god Chrome, and they set up various traps to capture Doom's worshippers and warriors. Conan successfully kills many of Doom's warriors, and he eventually gets cornered by Rexor, Doom's chief lieutenant. However, Valeria's spirit appears in the form of a Valkyrie spirit and saves Conan from Rexor's attacks. In the meantime, Doom targets Princess Yasmina, but Subotai dodges his attack, and Doom finally decides to seek refuge in his temple. During the battle, Conan recovers his father's long-lost sword from the possession of his enemies, and he finally heads to the Temple of Set to face Doom once and for all. Doom prepares for this fight by gathering members of his cult, and he even tries to use his hypnotic powers on Conan. However, Conan manages to resist Doom's powers, and he uses his deceased father's sword to kill Doom, finally avenging his parents' death. After killing Doom, Conan also burns down the Temple of Set and returns to King Osric's castle to bring Princess Yasmina to him. Conan continued to have many more adventures and a sequel titled Conan the Destroyer, which was released in 1984. The sequel was directed by Richard Fleischer, and it had the same cast as the original movie. In this movie, Conan has a new accomplice, Malak, and the two of them go on an adventure for the Queen Taramis of Shadazar. While traveling through Shadazar, Conan and Malak face Queen Taramis's guards, who test their fighting abilities. After seeing them fight, the Queen finally introduces herself and states that she has a mission just for them. While Conan is hesitant about undertaking any quests, the Queen entices him with an offer to resurrect his long-lost love, Valeria. Conan ends up agreeing to the quest, and the Queen then hands him the responsibility of traveling with her niece, Princess Jenna, as she goes on a mission to restore a jeweled horn that belonged to the dreaming god Dagoth. The Queen tells Conan that they must locate the magic gem known as the Heart of Ahriman, which will then direct them to the jeweled horn. Conan and Malak head on this journey with Princess Jenna, and are also accompanied by a royal guard known as Bombata. The Queen sent Bombata to kill Conan once they'd found the gem, since she wanted it for herself. While the party heads out to find the magic gem, Conan decides to seek Akidor's help once again, since the gem was secured in a wizard's fortress. A gang of cannibals had captured Akidor, and Conan first flees Akidor before heading on his journey. As they move ahead, Conan and the rest of his team come across a powerful warrior named Zula, who is being tortured by a group of villagers. Princess Jenna expresses her wish to save Zula, and Conan frees her and finally allows her to join their team. After traveling for a while, they finally reach the castle of Toth Amon, where the wizard keeps the hidden jewel. As they set up camp beside a lake near the castle, the wizard takes the form of a bird and kidnaps Jenna. The following day, Conan gets help from Akidor in locating the princess, and they also find a secret entrance to the castle. While they find a way through a hidden water gate, Conan gets separated from Malak, Zula, and the rest of the team. He even finds himself against a beast in a room covered with mirrors, and Conan finally realizes that he can locate this creature by breaking the room's mirrors. Once Conan defeats this beast, the animal shows its true form as the wizard Toth Amon. While Conan manages to kill him, the castle also starts self-destructing, and the entire party rushes out of it. They also get their hands on the gem that would lead them to the horn, and Queen Teramis's guards soon show up to kill Conan. Bombata pretended he was unaware of this attack, and they decided to head forward on their journey. In the meantime, Princess Jenna falls for Conan and confesses her feelings to him. However, Conan declares that he is only devoted to Valeria, and they continue on their journey to the ancient temple where the horn is being kept. Jenna finds the horn, while Akiro translates the messages from the engravings and reveals that the young princess will be sacrificed to awaken the dreaming god Dagoth. Their team also gets cornered by a bunch of priests who were guarding the horn, and they try to escape through a secret exit. However, Bombata creates trouble for them by blocking the exit and even capturing Jenna. Conan, Malak, and the others head back to Shadazar to ensure Jenna is safe, and they sneak into the throne room as soon as they reach the palace. While Conan engages in a battle with Bombata and kills him, the warrior Zula looks for Jenna and finds her with the Grand Vizier, who is about to sacrifice the young princess. Zula kills the Vizier and saves Jenna's life, while all hell breaks loose, and the dreaming god also starts coming to life. Dagoth kills Queen Tamaris and then tries to attack Conan, who struggles to defend himself. Eventually, Conan manages to subdue Dagoth by tearing his horns out and killing him. After Queen Tamaris's death, Princess Jenna becomes the new queen, and she appoints Zula as the captain of the guards and Akiro as her royal advisor. Jenna also proposes to Conan and offers him a place by her side as king, but he graciously declines her offer and sets out to find his next adventure. While these movies eventually become classic examples of the sword and sorcery genre, the Conan movies initially had an entirely different storyline. The 1982 Conan movie script was initially written by Oliver Stone, and it was set in a post-apocalyptic world where the titular characters fight against mutant animals. Conan the Barbarian, 2011, retold the story of Conan, starring Jason Momoa. Conan's story was later retold in various movies and TV shows based on the Barbarian warrior, and Jason Momoa once played Conan in the 2011 Conan the Barbarian film. This film was entirely different from the original movies and the myths surrounding Conan, and offered a completely new retelling of his story. The movie introduced Conan as the son of a barbarian chieftain named Coran, who believed his son is talented but a violent warrior who needs more training and restraint. While Coran does not believe Conan is worth wielding his sword, he soon dies during an attack by a warlord named Kalazim. Conan survives this attack and promises to avenge his father's death by killing Kalazim one day. In the meantime, Zim tries to gather all of the pieces of the Mask of Acheron that would help him to revive his dead wife and take control of Hyboria. After a few years, Zim finds all the pieces of the mask and only needs the blood of a pure blood descendant of Acheron. He intends to sacrifice a young girl named Tamara and use her blood to unleash the power of his mask, but Conan gets wind of his plans. In the past few years, Conan had become a pirate who often helped others escape difficult situations, and he had uncovered the truth about Zim's plans during one of these adventures. Zim finally locates Tamara at a monastery, and he attacks this place to find her. Tamara's teacher, Fasir, asks her to return to her birthplace and get to safety, but Zim's men locate her and chase after her carriage as she tries to leave. Conan arrives at the scene and soon learns that Tamara is the young girl that Zim is after, and he defends her from her attackers. Zim and his daughter Marik finally meet with Conan, who puts up an act and expresses his interest in giving them Tamara in exchange for gold. He then lunges into an attack on Zim and struggles to defend himself when Marik uses her powers to create soldiers out of sand and send them after Conan. Finally, Tamara rescues Conan from the situation, and the two of them head to Conan's ship. However, Zim's men soon launch an attack on their ship, and Conan decides to head back to Zim's kingdom to fight him. He asks Tamara to head to Messantia and entrust his friend Artus with the responsibility of ensuring Tamara's safety. After Conan leaves for Zim's kingdom, Artus tells Tamara that Conan has left a map behind and she follows the map and meets him in a secluded cave where they end up making love. Tamara heads back to Conan's boat the next day, but gets captured by Zim's men. When Conan learns that Zim has captured Tamara, he seeks the help of an ally, Alishan, to break into Zim's castle and save Tamara. In the meantime, Zim gets ready to kill Tamara and use her blood to restore the mask. He also intends to use Tamara's body as a vessel for his dead wife's soul, but Conan refuses to let any of this happen as he barges into the dungeons and confronts Zim. However, Zim successfully restores the mask and puts it on. Conan faces quite a challenge while battling him. In the meantime, Marique attacks Tamara and Conan diverts his attention towards her and even cuts off Marique's hand. He also gets his hand on his late father's sword, which had ended up with Marique after Zim raided their village. While Tamara kills Marique by throwing her into a pit, Zim unleashes his rage after witnessing his daughter's death and even summons his wife's spirit. As his wife's spirit takes control of Tamara's body, she begs Conan to let her fall off the bridge and end her life. However, Conan refuses to do so and ensures that the two of them get to safety. While Conan and Tamara survive the fall, Zim falls into a lava pit. After avenging his father's death, Conan ensures that Tamara returns to her birthplace. He then heads back to his village, pays his respects to his late father, and tells him that he has finally avenged his death and restored his honor. Exploring the major comic book story arcs. In a major comic book story arc, Conan had left his village to head to Asgard, the land of Azir, in the northern parts of Hyboria. On his way to Asgard, Conan stopped by an Asgardian village that was being attacked by Vanir marauders and saved the lives of a woman and her children. His actions caught the attention of the Azir chieftain, Niord, who invited Conan to join their group to fight against the Vanirs. Conan started traveling with them, and Niord soon became extremely reliant on Conan for fighting their battles. In a continued story arc, Niord's men end up in a fierce battle against the Vanir. Eventually, Conan remains the last surviving man from Niord's side, while only one Vanir named Heimdall turns out to be the last man standing from the opposing side. Conan and Heimdall fight each other, and Conan suffers a head injury that leaves him quite disoriented. After defeating Heimdall, Conan struggles to remain conscious when a beautiful woman named Atali appears before him and teases him until he pursues her across the lands. Despite being in pain, Conan follows Atali and comes across two frost giants who are Atali's brothers. Conan somehow manages to kill them both and finally claims Atali as his prize when the young girl disappears from his view. Conan eventually loses consciousness and is discovered by a group of Niord's men who bring him back to his senses. When Conan relays the incident with Atali, the men refuse to believe him and state that he must have lost his mind. However, the Aesir named Gorm believes Conan's story and even claims that he saw the same giant earlier in his life. Eventually, Niord's men corner the Aesir warriors and enslave them to work under their command. Conan is also taken to the city of Hyperborea, where he is made to fight as a gladiator for a very long time. Conan and the other warriors are constantly drugged in order to keep them under control until one day a girl named Iasmani tells Conan about these drugs and even offers an antidote for them. Conan takes the antidote but keeps up the facade of a drugged fighter for many days until he manages to escape. While Conan makes it to freedom, none of his other companions or Iasmani make it alive out of Hyperborea, and Conan decides to travel to Nemedia with a heavy heart. For a brief period, Conan even becomes a thief in order to make ends meet and gains quite a reputation in the town of Zamora. In various other comic arcs, Conan visited the Tower of the Elephant and freed the animal from its cruel masters, fought as a mercenary, and went on various adventures all across Hyboria. What was Conan really like? Robert E. Howard described Conan as a tall, tanned young man with a lot of facial scars and a hairy body in his earliest literary writings. Initially, Howard had come up with the idea of a warrior named Kull the Conqueror, and many of Conan's traits were inspired by this character that laid the foundation of Conan's adventures. Howard also wrote a story called People of the Dark, which introduced Conan of the Reavers. This storyline also referenced the Crom gods of the Hyborian era, and many ideas that were woven into the Conan comics and movies were inspired by the earlier works of Robert E. Howard. Howard also stated that Conan had blue or grey-blue eyes and dark hair, and that he was about 6 feet tall in his teenage years. Conan also wielded a 5-foot-long sword. While he was tall and strong, Conan was described as a character who moves swiftly in silence without bringing too much attention to himself. In this manner, he was compared to a panther. Conan mostly wore a loincloth around his waist, but several other versions of this character wear a white silk shirt, leather boots, and a scarf wrapped around his head. When Conan reigned as the king of Aquilonia, he wore rich garments made of silk and velvet, and even had a crown on his head. Conan had a kind-hearted personality, and he was loyal to all his friends and his allies. He never looked away when someone needed his help, and he was always honest and upfront with his friends. Moreover, Conan was also quite chivalrous and never backed down from helping any woman who needed his help. He also avoided fighting with women and only resorted to violence if the situation demanded it. Conan was a strategic warrior who used his brains as well as his brawn. He was also quite content with his life and did not wish to build an empire or attain more riches and lands in his name. Besides being a warrior, Conan was quite intelligent and well educated. He could read, write, and speak various languages. He also had an excellent sense of humor, which is often absent in the movies and the TV series. What makes Conan such a powerful warrior? While the Conan movies had toned down his supernatural abilities to a great extent, this barbarian warrior possessed unnatural speed and agility and many other powers that made him a powerful opponent. His physique was much more advanced than most humans, and he could withstand attacks that would have proved deadly for a regular person. Conan was also resistant to any form of poisoning, and once even survived after consuming the fatal purple lotus juice. Conan was also one of the most powerful human beings to have ever existed, and he had the combined strength of up to 20 men. He could also exert himself for long hours without feeling tired or experiencing fatigue. Growing up as a Cimmerian, Conan had developed enhanced senses that ranged from advanced vision and sense of smell and hearing. Conan carried a wide range of weapons and sharp blades with him, and he mostly used a two-handed broadsword to fight his opponents. His outfit typically consisted of a helmet and a suit of armor, making it difficult for his opponents to injure him physically. He was a master warrior with a great skill in armed as well as hand-to-hand combat, and he could also wield a bow. Conan was also a master tactician. He could assess any situation and develop an appropriate strategy even in the most dire of circumstances. Conan had spent his formative years in the wilderness, which had given him an impeccable survival instinct that had saved his life on many occasions. He was also quite athletic and was trained in various sports ranging from swimming to horse riding, even rock climbing. All of his training, as well as his inherent abilities, played a role in making him a powerful warrior and a formidable opponent. How will the legend of Conan be complete with the final addition to the lore? There have been talks of a Conan movie titled The Legend of Conan, which marks Arnold Schwarzenegger's return as the barbarian warrior for the last time. The actor had gained a lot of popularity from the Conan movies in the 1980s, and he even expressed his excitement over returning to play this role for one last time. While the movie set to follow the storylines set during the Conan movies of the 1980s, there are various rumors that state the film will disregard the Conan the Destroyer storyline. The legend of Conan will supposedly only focus on the servants of Set and Conan's continued fight against Thulsa Doom and his snake cult of followers. While many details about the movie's plot are under wraps, it has caused quite a stir among the fans who look forward to seeing Conan's adventures in the final addition to the movie franchise. Conclusion. Conan the Barbarian is one of the oldest, most famous fictional characters in pop culture, and he has received a lot of love from a very large audience. Even though he was introduced decades ago, Conan has been a favorite among viewers across generations and has created a long-lasting legacy. If you like our content, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Thank you so very much. Have a good one, and please be safe.